Hey, welcome back to the M2M Project. I'm Sebastian McLean and excited to be here with my good friend Silvio Estorita, also a producer in the film business who is good enough to come and join us here today. Silvio, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, well, we go back a bit. I guess we were just talking about that a little bit. You're one of the first guys in the area of producing that I talked to when I moved to Toronto, and and we had a kind of an interesting little adventure with a project that I was pitching to you guys then, and it's just interesting how the network flows because I met up with Jan as well, who's another screenwriter, script doctor that's been on the show and you've been
Yeah.
working with him over time as well. So yeah, that we get to come circle back around after a long time apart and all the weirdness in the world that's been going on. It's good to see you again. And yeah, well, maybe just if you like, share with everybody, how you got into this business and how you where you've landed now. What's happening?
Okay. I started working with somebody in the acquisition business. We're acquiring at the time video titles and theatrical titles back in the early '90s. We were representing a few companies in South Korea, and at that time, South Korea was pretty new to the industry as far as U.S. films were concerned. At that time, we bought movies like Dances with Wolves, Basic Instinct, Chaplin, Die Hard, Tombstone. We had a few good runs. We pretty much bought all the biggest independent movies for South Korea, and we were doing about 70 to 100 video titles a year at the time. So we kind of opened that market. When we went into the market, there was 11 movie theaters in Korea, and after the first, I think, 2 years, we opened it up to 44, and it started growing from then. Then the big companies came in, Samsung, Daewoo, and so on, and they started dropping big dollars. We ended up kind of changing our focus because it was hard to compete with these big companies. So I kind of split up with my partner and did something a little different and introduced the Playboy titles into the Korean market.
Hmm.
Was exclusive for Playboy, represented them for videos, became Playboy's largest distributor in the world at the time, and then signed the magazine deal and tried to do Playboy magazine. So that was in the early, that was around 94 we started that, till about 97 when the Korean market crashed and IMF came in to bail out Korea. Then it wasn't feasible buying U.S. product, U.S. dollars comparing to the Korean one, right? So what I did then is, you got to change with the times and change your focus. So at that time, everybody's, talking about how there's money in Germany. So now I got to find me a German partner.
I remember
So
that. Yeah,
yeah,
well, I remember that period of time when Germany was really hot. Yeah.
yeah. So German, they had the newer market, so a lot of companies were going, public. And at that time, we were working with a company, and we were trying to lock the rights for Doom, right? So we supposedly the one German company had the rights for Doom. I brought another German company to put up the money to buy the scripts. He put up, I think, 400,000, like 375 at the time, and we got the scripts and started putting some financing together. And by the end of that year, we ended up finding out that he never did have the rights.
Oh, I see. And
So
this would have been the what is now the current iteration. This was
yeah,
before. Okay, wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we worked on that. Like I said, I brought the money. Um, I remember going to Montreal to meet a producer and a financer, and they committed to $34 million for the first movie. So we had the money lined up. We paid for the script and everything else, but the guy never had the rights.
Wow.
So it's like going in circles, meeting all these people. They promise you the world, right? So you learn. And then I was introduced to a couple of producers here, and because I had a couple of projects, and they said, go to these guys, they will help you. I just don't want to throw names around. So ended up where they had a TV series that they needed help with. So I came in, brought my German partner in. We put money into the series. We did 22 episodes. It ended up to be a disaster because we never got paid, right? A lot of people got ripped off, So you kind of learn, and like I said, you have to adapt, right?
Yeah, well, I remember talking with you about that, not again, not getting into names, but
Yeah,
the dirty side of the business can be quite something to contend with. I mean,
yeah,
people, scooping things out from under you and basically daring you to try and sue them because they know most people aren't going to have the money to stand up
yeah.
against, certain bigwigs when it comes to going after the rights.
And
Yeah.
and I like I've done this so many times, and I kind of don't learn.
Mhm.
There was
Mhm.
one time, and I, for whatever reason, because when we're doing acquisition, we used to read a lot of scripts, obviously. So I thought, you know what, maybe I'll try and write one. So I started writing a script, got to about 30 pages, and a friend of mine says, talk to this attorney. He's going to help you. He's a writer, blah blah blah. And I gave him my script. He read it. Never heard back from him. And about 2 years later, I get a call from my little brother saying, "Congratulations, your movie's made." What are you talking about? Totally got ripped off.
Wow. Wow.
And basically went back to this lawyer, and he said, "That's lesson number one. Don't trust anybody." And I just honestly, I cried. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "That's lesson number one. Don't trust nobody." I go, "But this is." He goes, "I'm a lawyer. You're gonna take me to court?" And there was nothing I can do, you know. So
Wow.
you learn, you make a lot of mistakes, but I can honestly say I learned what not to do more than what to do.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
how to treat people, be honest. Always try your best, right?
Yeah.
And try not to hurt nobody because what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
I truly believe in that.
Yeah. Now,
So
and was that overlapped with when you were handling things with Trickster? And the reason I ask is because when I met you, of course, I think the way I was sort of introduced to you or the way it was explained to me was that you were doing a lot of producing on the back end with visual effects stuff through Trickster. Were attached to some amazing visual effects work. And then when we started talking at the Trickster offices, we were looking at you were looking at doing a front end production deal and trying to get that out the door.
so with Trickster, like back in I believe around '98. The German company I had kind of backing me up, and they were partners, was a company called Das Werk. Das Werk was, I think, the largest post production in Europe, third largest in the world. And the CEO, the CFO, we became really close and good friends. And one of the companies they acquired was Trickster. Trickster was pretty new at the time. So when we were doing the TV series here, we brought Trickster in to do the visual effects, right? So after that, we stayed in contact, and the two principals, we became really good friends. So back in like 2010, 2011, I believe,
Mhm.
they asked me if I would open Trickster Canada, and I said yes. And at that time, they were doing, they just finished doing Ninja Assassin. They did oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. But they did some big movies, right? And they were bidding for Iron Man at the time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they did some tests and scored the job, Iron Man. And we decided that, we're going to be doing a lot of the work here. They oversee it in Germany. They open up their LA office. So it makes sense for co-productions. But the partners kind of took a different route because they became, one of Marvel's vendors,
Mhm.
and that wasn't kind of the direction we wanted to go because it sounds all great, but when you have to hire 100 or 200 people, and
Mhm.
you got to buy software, computer, everything for these people. It sounds great, but if you don't have the next job lined up, that's bankruptcy. So we
Right.
decided to kind of part ways. We kept Trickster Canada. We did a couple of things together. They kept, Trickster, obviously Germany, and so we started doing visual effects more for smaller product. TV, movies, TV shows, and so on. We never claimed to be, doing the big Marvel or big blockbuster movies, but so we figured with that, having experience on distribution, a bit on the financing side, what do we do? So it's basically the whole industry is a puzzle. You're
Mhm.
always putting that picture together and putting all the pieces.
Yeah.
So if we know production, we have our own visual effects, then we can get our bang for the buck, right? So we started putting our own projects together. And, basically the way we work is we don't produce what we like, we produce what distributors like, right? Distributors go to their buyers and they produce what the buyers want. So basically it's a chain, right?
Yeah.
Buyer
That's
says, this is what I'm looking for. Distributor comes to us, say, this is what we're looking for. We go to the writers, this is what we need to write, and we deliver. So
yeah.
that's kind of how, we work. I mean, everybody has their own idea of what works or what he likes, but it doesn't work. It's still a business,
Yeah.
right? I'm not claiming to be, an artist, and I'm not painting a picture. I'm basically doing a job that somebody requires,
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at.
It's a hard learning curve for a lot of artists and creatives to get, and it's pretty essential in terms of making a decent living at what you do, because there's that desire to tell the story you want. And as a writer, you probably, yourself, you've gone that route. You kind of know, you get an idea in your head, you really want to put it out there.
Yeah.
But if the timing is off with what the market wants, that's a whole, because that's a whole other side of the coin, right? What is selling? What do people really want to see? And some people would call that selling out. Other people call it smart business, because you have to play that game on both sides of the coin. You gotta, find some creative genius, but you gotta find a place where it matches the market. So yeah, a tough lesson to learn for some of us.
Well, you know what it is, and to be honest, I remember one time, me and my wife went to meet this investor, and we were pitching him. He was more into the stock business, but he was interested in listening to us. And we told him what we want to do, and basically he said, you go with three F's. And I'm like, what do you mean? Friends, fools, and family.
Hmm.
That's how you do your first one.
Right.
And it's like, what do you mean? He goes, get them first to invest, and then you move from there.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, I've never asked my family for money.
Mhm.
I don't really know a lot of fools that would give me money, but I have a lot of friends, and I never really asked them either, right?
Right.
Um, because coming from the acquisition side, you meet a lot of distributors,
Mhm.
right? So you get to know, who sells what, who's good at selling what, and basically you just talk, find out what they're looking for.